Hi, guys. It's Mo in the Deep End, and we are back for day one, the actual official witnesses going up with the Joel Guy Jr. trial. Um, Bender is still deadly asleep because, catting is hard. But let's get into this. I believe the first witness is going to be Jennifer Whited, the manager slash boss for Lisa Guy Jr. or Lisa Guy's supervisor. So she was getting ready to retire. I believe um, that particular day that she didn't show up, she was supposed to go out to lunch with a bunch of women from her office to celebrate her moving into the new season of life, being retired and just enjoying that time with her family, and tragically, they didn't even get to take her out to lunch, and, we didn't even get an Office Space moment, where Milton was promised a slice of cake. I can't always that I would get cake. If you're like me or my children, the cake is the real star of the show. Sometimes, yeah, we love you. Also, we were told that there would be cake, so when are we doing that thing? Which is quite inappropriate when your youngest asks at a funeral, "Well, when do we get the cake?" Loudly, because of course. Alright, let's see if we've got this going and get some of our banners going and all that fun stuff, so we know what we are dealing with. So I believe this is when the jury comes in right after, I guess they went through a proffer of what kind of the witnesses were going to say, and then the judge kind of tells them, "Look, this is hearsay, you can't say this," things like that. So I figured we'd start fresh with these witnesses.
The jurors can go ahead and have a seat. As soon as you get in, y'all can take a seat.
This man is so lazy, he can't even sit up straight.
All right, everyone, you may be seated. Does the state waive the call, jury? Defense waive the call? Welcome back, folks. Thank you for that recess. I want to point something out to you. When you walk into the courtroom, everybody's standing. That's out of respect for the role that you folks are playing for our community. You may also notice that I'm not standing. It's not because I don't respect you, but the judge represents the law, which is over all of us. So traditionally, the judge doesn't stand.
Dear
But whenever you
Lord,
come into the
put
courtroom, you can go
your
ahead and immediately take your
mask
seats. You don't
up.
need to remain standing. It is now time to begin the state's proof. General, if you please.
This man probably has paid, what, like 50 damn dollars for this daggone mask that makes him look like Darth Vader or, Bane from, Dark Knight Rising, and yet cannot, will not, refuses to put it up on his nose. I hate face diapers. The cats are doing cat hole things in the background, I have no idea.
Please call your first witness. Jennifer Whited. Ms. White, would you please come forward? You just come up here to the witness stand next to me. You please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat, ma'am. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask.
I am just saying that if I had stock in plexiglass, I would be sitting pretty right now.
Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Jennifer Whited.
Where do you work, Ms. Whited?
I work at Jacobs.
What is your position there?
I'm the federal contracts manager.
Did you know Lisa Guy?
I did.
How did you know her?
She was one of my employees.
You were her supervisor?
Correct.
When did she first become employed with Jacobs?
She became a temporary employee with Jacobs in January 2012, and then she became a permanent employee in March 2013.
And I think I've gone over this, but if you're new when you just started with the day one, Lisa Guy, Joel's mother, the one that we found her head in a pot, she loved her son so much and would do anything for him that she got a job when she didn't have to work in order to support him during his forever collegehood. So again, giant douche canoe, sentenced to watch the Sharknado movies on a loop while listening to Nickelback.
What was her job description?
She was a disbursement specialist.
What does a disbursement specialist do?
Within that group, we ran payments for Jacobs globally, and she would generate those payment files, review the information within the payment files, and if they were okay to pay, she would go ahead and process those payment batches.
Right. As a full-time employee, did she have benefits with the
Yes,
company?
she did.
Do you know whether or not she had a life insurance policy?
She did.
And do you know who her beneficiaries were for her life insurance?
That's it. As I am doing this, I am now Googling to get a light up sign so that I can have it that says, life insurance, because Mike from that chapter already has the insurance dance. But I figure a flashing sign would be a great homage, if you will, but putting my own little sprinkle on it.
I'm not 100% sure what the split was, but it was Joel Sr. and Joel Michael Jr.
Okay. And as would you describe it as being work friends? You were friends while you were at work? Is that
Correct. Correct.
And as part of your friendship, did Lisa Guy ever express to you her intentions about her future plans for supporting her son?
Whenever we would discuss about her moving to the
So this is really interesting because the judge made it very clear that the witnesses can kind of attest to future plans, but if anything is in the past, then they are to not mention it because it would be considered hearsay. Not a lawyer. Bender is being unhelpful in his legal advice, so that's the gist that I got.
family home, we did discuss about her intentions with her son,
And what did she say about her future intentions?
about no longer being able to support him because her and Joel Sr. were both retiring.
So you were aware that she was going to move on.
I was aware, yes.
When did she turn in her notice?
She turned in her notice on November 21st, 2016.
Did you discuss her plans to retire before that, though?
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right. And when was her last day at work?
Her last day per her notice should have been December 2nd.
And that would have been a Friday?
Correct.
Right. Can you describe her demeanor? Were you able to observe her demeanor during the time prior to Thanksgiving holiday?
Look at that smile. This Lisa just had to be like salt of the earth, just sweet and happy. I mean, just even talking about her, this woman has just a big old smile on her face. That's the kind of person I want to be, maybe a little bit spicier, but it is what it is.
Oh, prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, yep, she was excited, yet a little preoccupied because she had so many things changing in her life. But she seemed to be very excited.
Were you aware that she had sold her house?
Yes,
And did you know about her plans for Thanksgiving?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She was excited to know that her entire family, her kids, were coming to spend the holiday with her and Joel Sr.
And did you talk to her at all on the Thanksgiving holiday weekend?
I did not talk to her during the Thanksgiving weekend.
I want to direct your attention to Monday, November the 28th, and ask you what happened that day.
Well, Lisa, her work schedule started at 7 a.m. And I noticed at about 7:15 that she was not in the office. And I normally gave my employees about 15 minutes to get there. And, more out of being concerned that they were okay, I would start calling.
I know I've said this before, but this lady seems like a super chill boss. Like the boss that knows, hey, momming is hard. You know, the stomach flu happens. Just call me and we'll figure it out.
So 7:15 came and she wasn't there. Nobody in her group had heard from her. So I began texting her and she didn't text back. And I thought that was highly unusual. A lot of thoughts went through my mind. hoping that she was okay, hoping that, this was her last week. She was retiring, that she had blown us off. But I knew that wasn't right. So I continued to text her. I continued to text Joel Sr. I called and never did get an answer.
Would that have been unlike her to not show up for work and not to call?
Absolutely. If she couldn't make it to work,
And here's where I feel like there's a big juxtaposition between this trial where she is definitely noticing some out of character behavior for a very stable person versus the Brian Castiglione case, or Brandon, dang it. Um, the no tie Brandon case. I mean, it didn't seem like there was enough reason to do a welfare check and get a bit hysterical with the Brandon case, but this case seems to have a more convincing fact pattern to get a welfare check out there.
she would have called me immediately.
And do I understand you to say that you also attempted to call her husband?
I did.
All right. And how many times would you say you called or texted?
I lost track of how many times, but I kept doing it thinking this time they're going to answer. I would say at least 20, at least.
And then what did you decide to do?
I wanted to call the police to have a welfare check done. So I called the police.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, we would ask to introduce our first.
So this is, I think they're going to go into the multiple 911 calls that this woman um, made that day. But I do want to talk about a fundamental sort of mental block that Joel Guy Jr. and Chandler Halderson seem to have. I don't know if it's their general self centeredness, their sort of arrested development, or what, but they fail to see their parents as dynamic people, as people who other people would miss. Um, with the Chandler Halderson, he kind of was confused that people were urging him to go put a missing persons, you know, report in there because he hadn't anticipated that other people would care about his parents. The same with the Joel Guy Jr. case. I mean, he hurt his little murder mittens, so he went on down to Baton Rouge thinking that no one was going to care that his parents were MIA for several days. So it's really quite interesting to me just because I have, younger kids and story time, but my youngest was shocked that I have a real name, that I didn't just pop into existence, at the time of becoming a mom, but I was a dynamic person-ish in and of myself. So, it's very interesting to see the same sort of mental, uh, maturity in these 2 douche canoes that my 7-year-old has.
First exhibit, exhibits 1 and 2, a recording of called an emergency line or non-emergency.
Non-emergency, yes.
Any objections? No, Your Honor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the court is going to receive this as Exhibit 1 and 2. When I receive an item into evidence as an exhibit, it means it's a piece of evidence that you can consider and will have with you in the jury room during deliberations.
I love judge explaining time.
Exhibits 2 and 3. This will be Exhibits 2 and 3. You may publish. That's what I'm looking for. It's not showing that I've got it muted.
Sir, don't look confused. We're all confused about you, basting your father. I deeply wish that Law and Crime would not focus on Joel. I understand he's the defendant, but he's
Are
also
you using HDMI?
looks like he's looking through you and is just generally unsettling with the knowledge that I have now.
Let me see if it's my system instead of you.
You know what I said in the last
Hold your
video?
ears, everybody. This might be loud.
That I missed the duct tape production of the courts. I believe we have found the technical difficulties that the courts and myself always seem to encounter. So we're right back home now. We found the court.
I think in general.
Oh Lord, are they going to have to call the IT goatee guy? Mr. Mo says I'm not allowed to say that in Best
Let's
Buy,
go old
but I
school.
do.
Can you bring that microphone down and just play it through your speakers? Unplug your HDMI.
All I'm hearing is the flux capacitor and something computer.
One on Monday, November 28, 2016 at 9:38 a.m. with a GMT offset of negative 300 minutes. Agent ID extension is 203.
Sir, you're smirky faced.
Police Communications Center. Yes, I have an employee that has not reported for work today, and highly unlike her. I've tried calling her home number, I've tried calling cell phone, and can't get a hold of her. What can we do about that? Can somebody go by and check on them? Yeah, do you know her address? I do. It is 11434 Golden View Lane. And what is your name, ma'am?
Oh, damn cat hole. Excuse me. Sorry. Thor. No. Okay, I don't even know where we are right now. Let me work this so we don't have to watch this weirdo drink water grossly again. General cat hole behavior. Excuse me. I think this is all right. We're getting there. Thor is just a giant pain in the butt. Okay, give me one. Okay, let me see why I can't hear what is going on because my cat is oh, he put it on
What does a
mute
disbursement specialist do?
with his
Within that
giant
group, we ran payments for Jacobs globally, and she would generate those payment
cats.
files,
You just
review
cannot have
the
anything
information
nice.
within the payment files, and if they were okay to pay, she would go ahead and process those payment batches.
As a full-time employee, did she have benefits with the
Yes,
company?
she did.
Do you know whether or not she had a life insurance policy?
She did.
And do you know who her
I need
beneficiaries
a
were for her life
panic room
insurance?
to where the cats
I'm
and
not
children aren't
100% sure
allowed
what
in.
the split was, but it was Joe Sr. and Joe Michael Jr.
Okay. And would you describe it as being work friends? You were friends while you were at work? Is that
Correct. Correct.
And as part of your friendship, did Lisa Guy ever express to you
Let me see if I
her
can get it to
intentions
go a
about
little
her
bit
future
forward and not miss the call because I didn't actually
at
get.
work?
Her last
Okay.
Are you aware that she had sold her house?
I am sorry about the technical
7
difficulties.
a.m. And
We
I
are running
noticed
a duct tape production over
online,
at the
hoping
Mo
that
Zone.
she was okay, hoping that, this was her last week. She was retiring, that she had blown us off. But I knew that wasn't right. So I continued to text her. I continued to text Joel Sr. I called and never did get an answer.
Would
And
that have been unlike her to not show up for work and not
Oh,
to call?
absolutely. If she couldn't make it to work, she would have called me immediately.
And do I understand you to say that you also attempted to call her husband?
I did.
All right. And how many times would you say you called or texted?
I lost track of how many times, but I kept doing it thinking this time they're going to answer. I would say at least 20, at least.
And then what did you decide to do?
I wanted to call the police to have a welfare check done.
Just
So I
pretend that
called the
the
police.
earlier recording
Right.
of this
Your Honor,
during
at this
this
time,
particular
we would
stream never happened.
ask to introduce our first.
And of course, Thor, the white cat hole, is of course licking himself and looking at me now like, "What you gonna do about it?" Because cats are cat holes.
Exhibit. Exhibits 1 and 2, a recording of called an emergency line or non-emergency.
Non-emergency, yes.
Any objections? All right, ladies and gentlemen, the court is going to receive this as Exhibit 1 and 2. When I receive an item into evidence as an exhibit, it means it's a piece of evidence that you can consider and will have with you in the jury room during deliberations. 3 and 4. Exhibits 2 and 3. This will be Exhibits 2 and 3. You may publish.
And she has nice hair. Can we talk about the prosecutor having nice gray long hair? Goals, if you will, for when I am a woman of a certain vintage, though I'll probably have it some crazy color.
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, for the love of Cheetos. See if we can fast forward through their technical difficulties. And Joel looking, well, just Joel in the coma of shame. Oh, for the love of goodness gracious.
Really unlike her. I've tried calling her home number.
All right, we are
I've tried
back
calling cell
before the
phone
cat
and can't get a
holders.
hold of her. What can we do about that? Can somebody go by and check on them? Yeah. Do you know her address? I do. It is 11434.
Oh my goodness, doesn't this woman just sound so sweet? Even talking to the dispatcher, just like, can we please go find something and find them? I mean, just like, I just want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with this woman because she just seems like a bundle of sweetness and southernness, and I'm a sucker for both.
Golden View Lane. Okay. And what is your name, ma'am? My name is Jennifer Whited, Whited. And what company are you with? Jacobs Engineering. And what's a good callback for you guys? It is 865-216-6625. Okay, what's the employee's name? Lisa Guy, Guy. Her husband's name is Joel, Joel. Should he be there too? Does he live with her? Yes, he does. Okay. And they do have a dog named Jake. I think he's a big baby. Okay.
Oh, that baby.
How old is she, do you know? She is in her, I think, late 50s.
Let's be honest, we don't ever answer that question honestly.
Medical issues? No, I mean, she has high blood pressure, but that's all. That's all that I know of. And I know that their house is for sale, and they are moving, and she.
Okay, pause. But when you hear the loud clickety clackety, and I just got a new keyboard, thinking that it would be easier for me to use, and it's the loud clickety clackety. I always feel like I'm working at Delta Airlines, and they're trying to see which flight I'll be able to, get stuck on because some sort of cancellation has happened. And the amount of typing to find out simple things is just insane with those particular jobs, at least in my opinion.
Is leaving our company, but that's supposed to be Friday, and this definitely isn't like her just not to show up. I'll send a call over to officers, have them swing by and check on her. And if anything changes before then, just give us a call back here, okay? At the same number? Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
After that, did you make a second call?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors about that?
I had realized that nobody had called me, still could not get a hold of Lisa or Joel. So I called back to see what they had found with the welfare check. And I was told that everything seemed to be fine, that nothing looked out of the place. And so they didn't do anything further. I asked them to please go back because I knew that something was not right. She had plans with other coworkers that day, and that she would not have canceled or just blown them off. She would have at least called. So I asked them to go back.
And what is the next thing you heard in response to your request?
I was told that they would talk to a detective to see what they thought, and they would get back with me.
Again, I know I've said it before, but shout out to this boss for listening to her instinct. I think a lot of time, at least in my life, in order to keep the peace and appear, sweet and not rock the boat, I've ignored those signals when I should have listened to them. So kudos to this witness.
And what happened next?
It was probably 20 to 30 minutes later, I think, that I got a phone call from a detective wanting to ask me more questions about Lisa and what I knew. But I did not know that anything in particular had happened.
Right. Was there something special planned that day for Lisa?
There was a lunch that she was going to have with some other coworkers for her retirement.
They were taking her out to Olive Garden.
When did you hear what had happened?
In their home? What had happened in their home? I had heard that there were bodies found Monday evening, so that evening.
Right.
Here's something that I don't think that we quite give a lot of attention to, and that is kind of the ripples of destruction that some of these crimes, well, all of these crimes really have. I mean, this poor woman, is going to have to realize that her work friend, a woman that she was fairly close to and cared about, was, brutalized in such a horrible way. And sometimes we think about the family and we think about, kind of the close victims, but we don't really think about those kind of ripple on victims. And watching these trials, that's something that has really kind of become something I'm very cognizant of and very aware of, is that there are these ripple down victims that, we don't always think of first.
May I approach?
Folks, give me just 1 minute. We're going to have a conversation off to the side.
Oh, we have a sidebar or a something bar. I don't know. We have a little convo.
Sorry. Wow, she's.
I'm not that important, but she is.
It's going to take me a minute to get used to this. Okay, I'm sorry. And now you indicated, Ms. Whited, that at Jacobs there is Ms. Guy was provided with life insurance benefits. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, please, we're going to introduce as our next exhibit. It's upon records custodian affidavit, the insurance benefits
Speak into the microphone, ma'am. I complimented you on your hair. Don't make me take it back.
Lisa Guy, and we would like to publish just one page, the beneficiary page.
Without objection, we're going to receive as Exhibit 4 the insurance policy purporting to belong to this guy, and you may publish.
And Ms. Whitehead, are you able to?
Oh, for the
see
love of
that at all?
Cheetos. What is going on here?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury who
Listen,
her
this is all Law
beneficiaries
and
were?
Cuck's fault. I am only responsible
Read it.
for
I need my glasses.
this general thing. And oh, she brought her readers.
So
And Bender.
Joel Guy Sr. was 50%, and then Joel Guy Jr. was also 50%.
Okay.
And
And
those
were
are
you
some
aware of the
snazzy
amount of
readers,
her
too.
insurance coverage?
I know what the company provides employees, and it's based off of their pay. So I knew that she at least had that. I did not know if she had any additional that she could had the option to purchase.
And if, I'm going to pass the witness at this time, Your Honor, please, and then I'll may publish a further document with respect to this exhibit.
Ms. Whitehead.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Mark Stevens. When someone designates a beneficiary on a life insurance policy, do you reach out to those beneficiaries and notify them of that?
No, I do not do that.
All right. Do you know whether anyone within Jacobs Engineering reaches out to those beneficiaries?
When they're made a beneficiary,
Right.
or no?
And have you ever had any personal contact or conversation with Joel Jr. about the fact that he was named a beneficiary in that policy?
I so want her to say, look, I wasn't going to tell Lisa, but her son was super creepy. So I'm glad she never brought her son to work during the day.
No, I have not.
So you have no firsthand knowledge whether Joel knew that he was a beneficiary, named a beneficiary in that policy.
This would also be a good argument, except that our lovely Joel Manlet wrote down, all of his windfall that he would get in his murder book.
I do not have any firsthand knowledge.
Ms. Whitehead, do you recall in 2018 someone from my office coming over to speak with you?
I do.
And you declined, which is well within your right, to speak to that individual. Is that right?
That's correct.
And ultimately, you were nice enough, you reconsidered, and you agreed to talk with me on the telephone. Do you recall?
I'm failing to see why this has a point other than she didn't want to deal with BS, which I can totally agree with.
All that?
I do recall that, yes.
And do you recall that I asked you, I told you that I had heard that there was some media report that apparently Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. were planning to cut him off financially. And I asked you whether you had any firsthand knowledge of that or whether that statement was accurate. Do you remember me asking you that?
I don't remember the exact questions. I don't remember that.
I don't really either, but generally that was the question, whether or not you were aware of the media reports about him being cut off financially. Is that right? And do
Yes.
you remember telling me you didn't want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. I remember saying that on quite a few questions.
If we need the recording, because I need to hear if she said, bless your heart, because we all know that is the FU of the good Southern woman, and I need her to have told him, bless your heart, that Joel was touched, and I don't feel like assisting in his defense.
And when you told me you didn't want to talk about that, you were aware of your testimony hasn't changed today
No.
from that. So you were aware in 2018 of this statement that you're saying she made. You chose not to share that.
I was aware that we had in passing conversations that this was going to happen, but you told me that I didn't have to answer any questions
Right.
that I did not want to answer. So yes, I was aware.
All I hear is, I don't have time for
Thank you,
BS.
Ms. Whitehead. Thank you.
No, Your Honor, but we would like to just republish. It's the same page. I just couldn't see it on there.
And I'm here for it. Let someone I know get
So
melted by their, screw up kid. I wish I would say that I'd be a better person and you know, let justice go through the wheels of, you know, the legal system. I probably would, but would I help the defense? That would be a hard pass, hell no.
Ms. Whitehead, I just want to direct your attention to the very top one in that, and it says coverage election amount. Do you see that? And what is that figure?
500,000.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything else, Staples?
No,
Thank you, Manny. You may step down. All right, folks,
Side
let me-
note of all the side notes that I tangent off on, but I
do
want
believe
her
that your
cover
lunch is
thing.
here, folks, so this is a good time to go ahead and break for lunch. So I'm going to give you the same
Okay, so
instructions
I'm
you've
gonna
already-
try to pull up. Lord knows that this is an exercise in all the things that scare me or seem to be, super duper the hardest things for me. So let's see if I can get the next thing going, which is often a possible no. Let's be very honest. So this is the next clip that they have up. What I'm probably going to do is do maybe another little bit of this, get some witnesses done. I may speed them up just a little bit because it's easy to see that a lot of these particular witnesses do come from the South, and we tend to talk a little bit slower, or at least they do. So we might be able to speed them up a little bit and then have them go Yankee style, which may make it easier for us to get this case done in not a bajillion and 10 videos. Or I may, after this, go live to do the crime scene and other kind of things, but we'll see. I'm still working on everything, you guys. It's not the easiest. Technology has never been the easiest for me, so we will see. Bender is very confused at my making him have to do anything pretty much. So let's see if we can get this and
And you've mentioned that your parents had, that Lisa and
Let's
Joel
see
had
here.
I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. You're very
Okay.
soft spoken.
I'm sorry, Angela Crane.
Okay. So I believe this is the next witness, and she is one of the daughters of Joel Guy Sr. He had a previous marriage. Lisa was his second wife, and they had Joel Guy Jr. So I believe this is one of his three daughters from his first marriage. And let's see if we can get this duct tape production to go.
Crane, can you introduce yourself to the jury? Tell them where you live, what you do, and how you're related to Joel Guy Sr.
Joel Guy Sr. is my father. I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee. Born and raised. In April of 2016, I went to upstate New York with my job for an emergency project, and I've been up there since.
What do you do?
I do civil design.
What does that entail?
It's civil engineering.
So I know I said this in another video, but this is more heartbreaking to me because this particular daughter went into kind of civil engineering because she was so just inspired by her father being a civil engineer. I think he had a special designation. Look, I don't know, but I just thought it was really sweet and heartbreaking that she went to her dad's footsteps.
Engineering design. It's right now I'm working on currently 11 sanitary sewer projects.
What does your father do for a living?
He's a piping designer, and he's actually the reason why I do what I do. And growing up, we used to, whenever
I'm
he
not
and Lisa
tearing
and Joel
up.
Michael would come up and
You're
visit,
not tearing up.
he would always bring blueprints of the projects he was working on, and I was just fascinated. It was drawing and math, which is both things that I love, and
Hard pass on the mathing for me, but you go, sister.
he encouraged that. So,
Okay. Now, Lisa was not your mother, is that correct?
correct.
Can you tell the jury when you met Lisa and how that came about?
Lisa, when Michelle and I were 3, they met, and she's been like a second mother to us since before I can remember.
So your mother and your sister's mother and your father divorced, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
When we were 1, I believe, was when they divorced.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long Joel and Lisa were married?
31 years, I believe.
Joel, you
So,
giant douche canoe. Your
when did you
parents
first
were
learn-
like the marriage that we want. I, y- you know what? Not even sentenced to Sharknado Loop and Nickelback. You're getting Zydeco music, which look, I love y'all from New Orleans, but I am a whole lot too type A for a song to never end. I need a beginning and an end. I know it's a tangent.
that he was going to be retiring?
Well, they had been talking about it for a while, but he had sent a group message we have a family group message, and so that was on November 17th that he finally got word that his house had sold and they had signed the documents and that they needed to be out of the home by December 13th. So, but they had the house up for sale for quite some time.
Okay. And were you aware of Lisa's plans to retire?
Yes, she was excited about retiring and just spending her time. They were madly in love, so just spending
Oh.
time with each other.
I just wish I could have met these people before this boil on the butt of humanity enacted his plan. I mean, again, it's looking at the people around them and you see what kind of impact they had on these girls' lives, her boss's life. And he needs to be lanced. He is a pimple on the taint of humanity.
Did she make any statements to you about her intentions with respect to the support of her son, the defendant?
She did on one of my trips back home in October. Dad and I were talking out in the garage, and she had stated that they were going to retire and it was time for Joe Michael to stand on his own 2 feet. He was an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you say you're out in the garage. Can you explain how your family used the garage?
It was their social gather. Like every time we visited Dad and Lisa, I believe we
Sorry,
stood
I
up the
was
whole entire
trying to be
time.
a
We just
little bit more on
congregated and
top of
hung
it.
out, and we would go out in the garage, and that's where we smoked cigarettes and just even played cornhole in the garage.
Did they put their cars in the garage?
They kept the
typically?
boat in the garage.
Okay. All right. Can you tell the jury how long how often you communicated with your dad?
Oh, if not every day. And on Sundays we would call and talk, but via text message. Dad, Michelle, Lisa, and I had this text thread where we would just text each other. I mean, we just really would banter. Dad was so funny.
Can you tell the jury a little
Aw.
bit about the decision to move to Sirgoinsville? What made that a special place for your father?
That was his old stomping grounds. That's where he grew up. That was his family home, and he was excited to go back home.
Now,
Joel, you incredible douche.
again, what was your understanding of when the move would take place?
Well, they had to be out by December 13th, so they were packing and getting everything ready for the new homeowners to move in on December 13th. So it was
And were you aware of when Lisa's last day at work would be?
the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Did you attend the Thanksgiving holiday?
I was going to, but at last minute, I decided I was going to spend the whole week with them for Christmas. So I did not.
Oh, and you just know it eats her up that she was not at Thanksgiving.
What were the family plans for Christmas?
To have the whole entire family in Sigornsville have a Christmas Eve dinner and just be reunited and enjoy each other.
And you've mentioned that your parents had, that Lisa and Joel had a very warm relationship. Um, did you communicate often with your brother?
No.
And can you describe your relationship with Lisa?
With Lisa, she was one of my best friends. And so was Dad.
I'm gonna
Oh,
pass the witness. Thank you.
breathe deep, sweetheart. I know.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You may remain in the audience.
Can we just backhand Joel just for that?
Shandace Fink.
Cone of shame. Cone of shame for you.
Yes, it is.
He is a pimple on the taint of humanity, just sitting there like a lump. I think blech
You
is
solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, please have a seat, ma'am. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask and please speak clearly into the microphone.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Chandace Fink.
And I'm going to have to ask you to speak up just a bit.
Chandace Fink,
Ms. Fink, where do you live?
Kingsport, Tennessee.
How are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
He's my dad.
Right.
oh,
And I would like for you to tell the jury what your understanding was about Joel and Lisa's plans for their move to Sirgoinsville.
They plan to retire.
And did you talk to your father often?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how often you spoke to him or texted?
can I tell you these witnesses are doing so much better than I would because I would be staring daggers. The side eye would have decapitated him, okay? It allegedly in Minecraft, like the amount of pettiness and scorn I would put into my general face. My face is all caps. Look, I may keep my mouth shut, but my face is all caps and screaming. So it would be full, full FU, if you know what I mean.
Almost every weekend, unless one of the two of us was going to be out of town or something.
Did you hear from your father or communicate with him at all on Saturday, November the 26th or Sunday, November the 27th?
No,
And did that surprise you?
it did,
And why did it surprise you?
because Sunday was my birthday.
Did you expect a call?
Oh, you black hole of buttholeness. Joel, look, I've already brought out Zydeco. I will sentence you to a lifetime of recorder recitals right now. Um, I am done with you, sir.
From your father on that day?
Yes,
Did you find it unusual that he did not call?
it was the first birthday I ever missed.
Oh, you little, oh my gosh, just,
I'm going to pass the witness.
ugh, just black on you. And
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit and you may remain in the audience.
thank you, tiny baby Jesus, they didn't
Renee
cross
Charles.
this woman.
Since you and Ms. Fink are family members, we're not going to disinfect since you're not distant. If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat, ma'am.
Where is a lance when
Please
you
speak
need it?
loudly into the mic.
Because I see
State your
a
name for the record, please.
throat
Renee
that needs to be
Charles.
Ms. Charles,
excised.
how are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
I'm his sister,
And how did you refer to him?
as Mike.
So he was known as Mike growing up. How often did you talk to your brother?
3 or 4 times a week.
Right. Did you communicate by telephone or by text?
Text mostly.
God bless texting. For those of us who may be busy all the time, uh, but enjoy sending a good meme, God bless texting for keeping my family together.
And did you communicate with him around the Thanksgiving holiday
Yes.
in 2016?
Yes.
And did you discuss with him his plans for the future?
Yes.
And what did you know his plans to be?
Well, the week before they were at the house and we were talking about what they were going to do. And they said that they were going to wait till Christmas to talk to Joel Michael, that they were going to have him to start paying his bills and stuff.
Okay.
And
Did
they
you
were-
all have plans for Christmas?
Yes.
What were the plans?
Everybody was going to meet at the house. And Joel Michael would be in for Christmas. They said he wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving.
Okay. And was that going to be in Surgoinsville then, the
Mhm.
new house?
hmm
Can you describe this house for the jury? Was this your family home?
Yes.
All right. And had your brother Joel Sr. or Mike, had he already made arrangements to buy the house?
Yes. They was done moving stuff in.
And
I gotta love, you just love to hear it. They were fixing to, and they done moved stuff in, because that's just how I talk and how people around my neck of the woods talk too. Not this, not this, with the twang, but definitely we've got the fixin' to and done did going on here.
when was the last time that you saw him?
The week before.
Okay. Do you know whether or not he had plans to travel to Surgoinsville on November the 25th?
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
been a Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I called him that day.
Okay. And what were his plans?
They were going to leave and go back about 3:30.
So they were planning to come up to
Friday.
Surgoinsville from
Yeah.
Knoxville? Okay. And
Yeah.
why were they coming up for the day?
to bring the boat and clean and do things around the house.
And I believe you just said that they intended to go back home to Knoxville about
To-
3.
About 3:30 so they could eat supper.
Okay. Now, did you try to communicate with him at all on the following days, Saturday or Sunday, the 26th or 27th?
I called him Thanksgiving Day and I called him Saturday and Sunday.
Did you speak to him or hear from him on Saturday and Sunday?
No.
How many times would you say that you tried to talk to him
I called 2 or 3 times and texted.
and you got no response?
This is what kills me. Joel Michael, for all of his planning, Joel Guy Jr., I was falling into what they call him, but he had to know that there was a family gab fest group chat, and every single one of his nosy aunts is going to be right up his hind end when his parents don't show up. It is this self-centered blindness that just kills me. Not that I want him to be a better criminal, but for F's sake, if you are going to make a murder journal and you're going to, calculate down to the chemical makeup of your parents, perhaps factor in that people also love them, you boil on the butthole of humanity.
No.
All right. Now, did you have a relationship with Lisa?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that relationship?
She's just a good friend, a sister-in-law,
Did you have an opportunity to observe her relationship with your brother?
Yes.
And what was their relationship like?
It was great. I mean, they
Aw.
just, they do just fit, They were meant to be together.
Now, did you
Poor
have a
Mr.
relationship
Mo,
with your
he's meant to
nephew,
be
the
with me.
defendant?
No, just when he come in for holidays.
So the last time you communicated with your brother was on Friday, November the 25th. Is
Yes.
that right? And you did not receive a response from him on the 26th and 27th.
No.
Thank you.
Just briefly.
Is it going to be Father Time or Doogie
Renee,
Howser?
Joel lived in Louisiana, is that correct?
Yes.
And at some point, Mike
Oh,
and Lisa
it's-
moved from Louisiana up to Knoxville.
Yes.
Joel did not move with them.
No.
So Joel's entire life, he'd lived in Louisiana. And you, for your entire life, had lived in Upper East Tennessee, is that
Right.
correct?
So here is where the defense and I've this is an older trial, so I kind of deep dove into kind of that chapter and other things that broke down the case kind of in general, but didn't go into the court case. So what the defense is trying to pull here is that poor Joel Jr. got left in Louisiana, and his family didn't care about him. They left him there to, as Daryl Brooks' mother would say, lagger and fall through the cracks. When in all reality, Mr. Joe Manlett Jr. wanted to stay there and wanted his family to basically F off. I don't know if they did any testing to see if Joel was on the spectrum, but he could definitely do without any part of his family but their money. So this poor little lost boy who got left behind in Louisiana I find it just kind of revolting, to be honest with you.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Joe?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Robin White.
You solemnly swear or affirm that testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Business is fine. You may remove your mask. Please keep going.
State your name for the record, please.
Robin White.
Or how are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
He's my brother.
And what did you call him?
Mike.
Ms. White, do you live in Sirgoinsville?
I do.
Okay. Did you know whether or not your brother had plans to move to Sirgoinsville?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury what those plans were when he planned to do it?
He planned to retire and he bought the home from me. When my dad died, I was the trustee and he bought the house from me. And I helped him clean and do things around the house. I got to spend all day Wednesday before he died with him. And
That would have been the 23rd of November?
yeah.
Yeah, Fritz. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as
Are they showing it through the
Exhibit
plexiglass?
5. Let me ask you if you recognize this.
I do. That's our home.
Okay, is that the house that he was going to buy from you?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have plexiglass up. We actually have a hole in the plexiglass, just like you have at, bank tellers stuff. But we're going to show it through the side. The amount of okay, the shenanigans that we did in defense of the unknown illness of unspecified origin, that was completely and utterly awesome and carried out well, YouTube gods, by our benevolent overlord government. Things like this just tickle me pink. I mean, they make her wear a mask. She's not wearing a mask, right? And they've got God knows how much invested in plexiglass, but they're still going to pass the paper through the, you know, you'd cry if you thought about it too much. But we humans are just odd creatures.
Yeah.
Surgically Now, when did they plan to go up there to live? When did you think that? what was the
Well, they
intention?
was moving in some,
I
what
need that
things and
house. I
stuff, and
love
doing
that
things to the
porch.
yard, getting ready to move the dog, putting fences up and stuff for the dog. And we helped them with all that.
Oh,
Did you discuss plans with your
we the people demand doggo pictures.
brother for the holidays that were coming up?
No, I didn't discuss no plans for the holidays. I'm not one to plan that far ahead.
Well, so did
I was
you,
just busy helping him with the house and stuff.
what about the Christmas holiday?
Yeah, we usually see each other. We always have. We've always, the family always gets together and has a big meal and enjoys each other.
Now, you said that on Wednesday, the 23rd, he was going to be bringing, did you say he was bringing the boat up to the house? Or
Yeah, we got done working in the basement that day and everything. And he said he'd be back up Friday. He was going to bring the boat and stuff. And I called him Friday, and it was probably about 1 o'clock. He said he wasn't going to be there much longer, that him and Joel Michael was there, and they had brought the boat and stuff up. He wasn't going to be there much longer, that I could just holler at him our Monday when he come back up.
okay. And did he indeed bring the boat up on Friday?
He did.
And do you know who was with him when he brought the boat up?
All I know is Joel Michael was with him because he was showing him the house and everything.
Okay. Now, at some point before Thanksgiving, did you have a conversation with Lisa Guy about her future intentions, what she was going to do after she quit work?
Yeah, Lisa said that she was going to retire too and maybe try to find some work. I'm not really sure if she was really going to find a job or not, but she said, she was excited about everything.
Okay. And did she discuss her future plans on whether or not she could help support her son?
She said that she couldn't do that no more,
Okay.
that he needed to be on his own.
And did you have an opportunity to observe the relationship between your brother and Lisa?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was with them a lot. We went a lot of places together, parks and stuff, Yeah, they was very much in love, and you could tell it when you was around them.
And
Joel, I dislike you immensely with the passion of 1,000 suns. Do you know how rare it is to find your other puzzle piece? In Forrest Gump's words, the peas to your carrots, and you have to be a giant douche because you have to get a job? Dear Lord, spare me your existence.
what was your relationship like with Lisa?
Lisa was like my sister.
And do you know your nephew very well?
No,
And,
no, I really don't.
And that's
He never
obviously,
was around.
He lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Thank you very much, Ms.
You're
White.
welcome.
And are we going to get Doogie or old
Good
man
afternoon.
time?
Hello.
Just to clarify one point, when the boat was brought up, did you see Mike and Joel Michael that day?
No, I talked to my brother on the phone while he was there
Okay,
because I was
Thank you.
going to come down.
okay, thank you.
Very briefly, did you talk to him again afterwards on the 26th or the 27th, that Saturday or Sunday?
No, my sister called me and told me she couldn't get in touch with neither one of them. She was worried.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We the
Michelle
people vote that
Dennison, her last name apparently is Tyler now. I'm sorry for
That
using the
Ant
wrong-
Enforcer get to have a couple swipes at Joel. Because I think Ant Enforcer would put a hurting on Joel. Again, allegedly in Minecraft, totally not advocating for any sort of aggressiveness.
last name.
It's for science. Cone of shame. I need a ticker.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please have a seat, ma'am. You may begin now. Just speak from the
State your name for the record, please.
Michelle Tyler.
And how are you related to the parties in this case?
I am Joel Guy's daughter and Lisa's stepdaughter.
And how are you? Are you and Angela Crane twins?
Yes,
Twin
ma'am.
Sisters. Okay. Can you describe for the jury a little bit your relationship with Lisa and your dad?
We were very close, like friends, like best friends. They were my best friends.
Did you communicate with them regularly?
Yes, ma'am. And we had a group text. It was more, the text was banter, just funny. Even through email, Dad would send banter of funniness.
Okay. And how often?
Dad was a meme lord. I am sold. This was the coolest family, except for Joel. Dang it.
Would you all communicate together?
Weekly, if not daily, but weekly.
Okay. And I take it from what you're saying that you've had a good relationship with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us?
I am going to speed it up a little bit now because I'm afraid if I don't, we'll have a 3-hour video. My cat host has turned away. He's just so uninterested. So see if we can get them to a bit of a Yankee speed and see if that'll help get us through the day a little bit because it looks like we have about another hour and 45 minutes. What I might do is get this up and then plan a live stream tomorrow. So if you guys would like a live stream tomorrow, please put it in the comments and I will go ahead and attempt to get this duct tape production uh, into speed and we can try the whole live streaming on the Webernet.
A little bit about how long you'd been with Lisa and what your connection to her was.
Lisa's been in my life my entire life, and it said it 3, but she's been my entire memory. And so we would go in the summers. My dad would have us for a month in the summer because they always lived so far away, and Angela and I would go visit for the entire month. But the dynamics of that was my mom was a single mom, so there's struggles with single moms. But when we went to Lisa's house, her cabinets were stocked with food, and she greeted Dad like the perfect Walton family. When they would come home, dinner would be cooked with meat and side dishes, and there would be
Listen, my family is the perfect Al Bundy / Roseanne family. So I greet Mr. Moe with sarcasm. It's my love language.
candy in the shelves, and I just would watch her, and I watched her growing up like she was the mom, or that dream that you have to have not a single home, excuse me, a double parent home to where she loved, like, I so wanted to be this woman that my first engagement ring was her exact engagement ring. And I wanted to be the mom she was. She would sit in her little very brown shirt. She had a really high arch in her foot and just with her cup. I wanted to even, at certain points in my life, I walked around with a cup that had like the little square placement under it because I wanted to be her. I wanted to be the mom that she was.
So it's fair to say you all maintained this relationship well into your adulthood. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And because of your close relationship with them, did they tell you about their plans?
Yes, ma'am.
In October and November of 2016, what were you aware about their future plans?
We celebrated my youngest son's birthday in October. It's October 28th, that weekend.
Just a side note, as a mom of 6 or even just a mom, you find yourself kind of measuring time between like kid life events. So people will ask me something and I was like, okay, who was I pregnant with then? Or so and so was having their 5th birthday. It, it's funny how moms tell time when things kind of just revolve around what kiddos were doing. That always just tickles me when other moms do it because I sometimes feel like I'm the only one that has to kind of think, who was I pregnant with? What was I doing? Who was a baby?
It said that they were retiring and that they were moving to Sikoransville and that Joel Michael was going to find a job or need to find a job because they were no longer their money when they sat down and determined even down to the amount of beer that they drink a week and the amount of
Oh my goodness, this would Mr. Mo's heart would just be, in love with this. Uh, Mr. Mo tries to show me Excel sheets of our budget, and I may or may not glaze over and, go full ADHD, like, "Are we ever gonna be done yet?" So Mr. Mo's heart would just warm to death if I asked for a financial talk.
cigarettes that they have a week, what amount of money they would need, and that amount of money was what they had to retire.
Now, on Thanksgiving, November the 24th of that year, did you plan to be with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell the jury what time you went over and who you were with?
We had, I'm not sure what time I arrived. It was early. We always spent all day together. My 3 sons were with me. They were significantly younger, so they weren't as big in the pictures. See, grown 7 feet. My oldest is here today. So my sons were with me. Sorry.
And anybody else?
So my sons.
Oh my gosh, this woman's me. Like, don't ask me a question because I will answer, and then I will answer 12 others that you did not because I will go on my personal tangent.
Came with me, and then my boyfriend was coming that evening. He was having Thanksgiving dinner at his granny's house, and then he was coming to my house. But my parents did not know at that point that he was coming.
Okay. But it's fair to say you were with your parents before he came.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And who else was staying in the house?
It was Joel Michael Jr.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long you were there?
I would say I was there from 10:30 or 11 until 8 o'clock that night. Maybe 8:30.
Can you describe what you all did throughout the day?
It's no, I don't know if it's usual for everyone else, but ours is you hang out in the garage and you laugh and you talk and you tell the same stories, and then you move to different spots. So we moved at one point to the back porch. This day was a little different. It was always more the typical time with Dad and Lisa was more laughing and banter. But if Joel Michael Jr. was there, he wasn't ever hanging with us doing that banter. He would be in his room.
Okay.
Except for on Thanksgiving.
And at some point, did he interact though with your children?
The Thanksgiving was different. The Thanksgiving was completely different. The moment that I arrived, Joel Michael Jr. was talking to us, and so he had never. I'm not sure Joel Michael Jr. knew my kids' names, and so.
Sir, I'm gonna need you, not that I want you to be a better criminal, but acting distinctly out of character, um, will put the suspect label on you. And I get not wanting to people. Peopling takes it out of me. I am a through and through introvert, but you do not hang out in your room on Thanksgiving. You deal with your family. Even if they're loud and it drains you, you still deal with them because it's Thanksgiving and it's a part of being a family. Just a lance that boil off of humanity. Cone of shame.
For him to talk to them was odd, and so he was talking to my kids and he was bringing them upstairs. Lisa had kept every single thing that this kid had. He wasn't a kid at that point, but his entire everything, Beanie Babies that he had collected, things that he had put on the shelf like eggs, science stuff, and she memorialized. It's not a word. Memorialized. I'm not going to know the word right now. Memorialized. No.
Memorialized.
Yes, that word. His entire life in
This
boxes
woman is
upstairs.
me.
And so they were bringing those boxes down, but it wasn't Lisa giving that away. Lisa didn't want to give it away. It was Joel Michael Jr. giving it to my boys, which was still odd.
So he gave them some toys.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have occasion to make any observations about your brother's car on that day?
I had that day I had sent Dad a text. My dryer had broke, and I had sent Dad a text with a picture of all of my clothes in the back, and it was a full trunk full of clothes. And so when I pulled in for my car to be right there, so I could carry all of these clothes upstairs to his washer and dryer. But in walking past Joel Michael's car, there was this
Side note, which, duh, with me, but this is the parent I wanna be. I wanna be that parent that when my adult kids need, a washer, need to come and shop in my pantry, I wanna be that mom. And it looked like Lisa and, Joel Guy Senior were those parents, so kudos to them. It's not your fault that your son apparently just happened to be what we like to commonly refer to as an asshole. So, good job, parenting and being that safe place for your adult kids.
This big totes in the back, and the lids were on them, and one was inside the other. But I thought he had carried his luggage in my brain. What my brain thought, or my first reaction was that his luggage was in that car. Why he had carried? That's the reason I remembered it. Why did he put his luggage? Why does he not have luggage?
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go upstairs?
It was so odd that my boys were upstairs, like interacting with Joel Michael, that I was going upstairs for two reasons. I was going upstairs for laundry, and then I was going upstairs to check on the boys.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go into your parents' bedroom?
I did.
It is telling that, this mother is so weirded out that her brother is showing interest in her children that part of her is very concerned with what's going on. I mean, when your own family is like, "Eh," maybe it's you. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe you're the asshole, okay?
And did anything seem to be out of the ordinary there?
No, my dad, I never make the bed up ever. My bed's still not made up right now. My dad makes the bed up every day. Lisa, that's one thing they always did, even growing up. Like I wanted to be that housewife that made the
This is again, Mr. Mo and me. I have to have a made bed. In fact, it's one of the little joys in my day to get into a nicely made bed at the end of the day. And my youngest, most feral of children, seems to know this about me, and his favorite thing is to get into my freshly made bed and kind of waller around in it like a little piglet and make his own little nest, and he's just destroying my soul at that moment. But I can totally get on board with the make your bed every morning. It is so nice to get into a nice made bed. That's just me, though.
bed like Lisa did. And so the bed was always made up. The bathroom stuff was always clean. Like it was always, they had separate bathrooms. But
Do you know which room your brother was using that weekend?
he was, if you come to the top of the stairs, the room that he was using that weekend was right at the top of the stairs. Their room was to the right and his was right there.
And was there a bathroom up there for him to use? Were you aware of which bathroom he used?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How many bathrooms were upstairs in the house?
Two.
And was there a bathroom connected to the master bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
So the other bathroom was where?
The other bathroom was Joel Michael Jr.'s room. And if you go down the hallway, it was down the hallway on the right.
And where was the laundry room?
The laundry room was right across from that bathroom.
Upstairs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess you were aware that your parents had a dog?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you do laundry while you were there?
Yes, a lot.
And did you observe anything unusual about the laundry room?
No, there was nothing unusual about the laundry room. I was, every time I would go upstairs, it's like he would be right behind me, which is also.
When you say he, who do you mean?
I'm so sorry. Joel Michael Jr. would be right behind me, like in my, like right behind me. Because I remember doing this. Like, why is he right behind me?
Okay. And did you find that odd at the time?
I did, because for 27 years or however old he was, he stayed in his bedroom. He was never smiling, saying, "Let me give you something," or right behind me ever.
Okay. So I want to ask you a little bit more.
Again, if your family thinks that you might have, let's just call it a murder van, in your present or future, that's a you problem you really need to work on. If your family is creeped out by your presence, that's a what we call a teachable life skill, and you need to work on your all of you.
More about the house. What do you know about your father's guns?
He has a lot of them.
Okay. And why did he have a lot of guns?
He was a conspiracy theorist. I
It's
don't know. He
it's
loved shooting.
Tennessee.
I'm joking about the conspiracy theorists. We were, and maybe it's in my head, or maybe, but we're all, myself, I can shoot the bullseye with a gun. My oldest son can shoot the bullseye. We all are very good shots. And it's just, I guess we said it was the Joel Guy. Like we had Joel Guy in us. Even my oldest can shoot, and he's.
Do they like to target practice? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even bow and arrow, we could shoot the bullseye.
I'm hanging
did,
out with this
Lisa
family. They
participate in
sound
target shooting
fun.
too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your father, was he moving these guns from one house to another, or were they visible when you were at the house on Thanksgiving? Did you see them?
Guns were always a part of growing up. Like you knew they were loaded, and you knew not to touch them. And it's the same in my house. So if there were guns present, they weren't laid out. They would have been in the regular spots that they were in, and it would have been. Even my kids know there's guns in my house, or our house, and there's guns in Papa's house and in Mama's house, and every single gun is loaded. You do not touch.
Hello, smartness. Yes, I have told my boys this. I don't know how many times. You respect weapons. They are weapons. They are not toys. They are dangerous. They are not to be touched or played with. I I have just drummed that into each and every one of their heads. We live in, like I said, a rural setting, so odds are that everyone is packing. So again, it's something that, we don't have like family target practice, but the kids all know these are not toys. So good on them.
And so we
Did
would
you see any long guns on the dining room table during Thanksgiving?
No, no.
Okay. Right. Now, do you know whether or not your father had any kind of cameras, security cameras in the house?
He always had cameras. Even when he lived in Louisiana, he had cameras in different parts of the house. And
after his death, did you have an opportunity to notice whether or not those cameras were still in the house?
On Thanksgiving, the cameras were in the house because he had a button that you could turn it on into the TV, into the living room, and see the cameras. But after Thanksgiving, the next time I was in there, and with cops asking me, I said there are cameras in the house, but there were no cameras in the house.
Okay. Now, did you know what your parents were going to do on the day after Thanksgiving? Did they discuss their future plans with you?
I knew they were going to take the boat. I knew they were taking items they had packed. They were starting the packing process, so they had already moved a bed. The reason the one room to the left didn't have a bed is because they had already set up, to my understanding, a bed at the new house, and to my understanding, had already brought boxes, or were taking were taking boxes up there, and so that's why there was boxes in that upstairs room.
Okay. So, when was the last time you spoke to your father?
It would have been Thanksgiving night.
Did you hear from him by text or telephone after Thanksgiving?
The picture I had texted because I wanted to post that picture of the boys and Dad and Lisa. So I had texted them for that picture, but nobody responded. And then I texted another text, and I'm not sure what the other text said, but no one was, and it was in the group text with my sister, and no one responded.
Can I approach?
Yeah. I thought you were asking me. Yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh, this woman is me.
Let me show you. I think there's an objection, Judge, to these being introduced as exhibits. Exhibit number 6, and asked you if you can identify this.
Yes, ma'am. That was the picture we took on Thanksgiving.
And that's the picture that we had published during the opening statement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your entire family. And if you could just identify the people in the photograph, if you could publish.
Hopefully it doesn't do the flickery screen
Dad and
thing.
Lisa's in the photo, and then my youngest son, Ben, is in the photo, and my middle son.
I will say these witnesses are doing incredibly well for as terrible as this has to be for them. They've really kept composure and, toughed it out and just tried to advocate for justice for their family members.
Okay.
That is Dad. Okay. That is Dad and Lisa. Dad is on the right, and then Lisa's on the left, and then Joel Michael Jr. is next to him, and then Preston, my oldest son, is at the very top. And we color coded for holidays. That kind of lost that a little bit, but you see that Ben and Baylor in the same outfit, Ben being taller, but he stayed small for so long. Like he stayed in 8-year-old clothes. And so he looks tiny there. He's way
Oh
bigger
my
now. And then
goodness.
Ben is the littlest one.
And I want to show you exhibit number 7, 8, and 9. And ask you if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I recognize what's in the picture. I've not. These are the first time I think I've seen
What's
these.
in the pictures?
These are the stuff that this is the stuff. This is the stuff that Joel Michael gave the boys.
Can you look at all of those photographs just to make sure?
Yes.
Did a forensic technician come out to your house at some point and take photographs of all of you?
They came out and took photographs and swabbed all of us, and then that's when they were asking about this stuff, and then I said they have the tubs of this. The boys hadn't. I'm not sure what date it was on, but the boys had just basically brought it in the house. So we
published
drew.
those exhibits. So that's how they were brought into the house.
Yes, ma'am.
That would be exhibit number 9.
Oh dear Lord, my sons would be over the moon. Beanie Babies.
No.
Dear Lord, how many Beanie Babies did this? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. How many Beanie Babies did this autistic asshole have? Because I am so done with Joel. Throw him into the center of the sun while listening to Zydeco music at this point. The amount of money that was spent on Beanie Babies, dear Lord. I'm aging myself, but every time the McDonald's had the Beanie Baby things, I begged my mother to get, the Happy Meals so I could get, the Beanie Babies. And then we had this very odd period in American history where Beanie Babies actually were worth money, like the Princess Diana one and everything. And it was a weird, obsessive thing. It probably was my first taste of like a real insanity fad. I wasn't, you know, old enough for the kind of Cabbage Patch Dolls, but the Beanie Babies, people lost their doggone mind over these beanbag animal things. It is unexplainable. I can only say that it was like the Pokemon cards of my day.
So does this photograph depict some of the games and toys that were given? Ms. Pilot?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And exhibit 8, does this depict the Beanie Babies that the defendant gave your sons?
Yes, ma'am.
And then exhibit 9, also just other toys.
Things I never thought I'd comment on. Beanie Babies during a dismemberment
Can
trial.
you tell the jury a little bit about how you found out about your parents' deaths?
Say it again. Found out.
About your parents' deaths?
So Monday morning came, and in our family, we have this thing to where we always answer text. You don't not, it's a double negative, but you always answer a text. And no one had answered my text. So I had texted them, but then I came down with a stomach virus on Sunday. And so that it took me a minute to get over that, but I had to go to work on Monday. So when I got up for work on Monday, I was driving in, and I don't know when I called my sister, but I know I was on the phone with my sister that morning, and I said, are you all mad at me? Is somebody mad at me? It's not like my family, especially my dad and Lisa, they didn't have problems with, like they just made the intent to not have problems with people. They would never voice their problem with somebody. And so for them to not answer my text was really weird. And so I said, well, I told Angela I'm going to text them or wait on their response, and I'm not sure. I'm sure I texted them again or tried to call them. I believe by this point their phones were going to voicemail. And I said, I'm going to go after work and check on them if they've not responded. And she said,
the
okay, just
faces
let
you
me
make
know.
are even deeper.
And usually if we panic like that,
duperly
it always
unsettling.
was, at point, okay. And so I don't know the exact time, but about 2, Jennifer had got in touch with me through Facebook.
Jennifer Whited?
Yes, ma'am. and she had said, "There's something wrong. You need to call me," and I'm not sure her exact message. And so I called her, and she said, "You need to get a hold of the detectives." And so I called Detective McCord, and he said, "You need to come meet me." And I was working. I can't remember. I don't think the school day was over because I said people had to get my class. I'm a teacher, and then I had to walk straight out the building. And I collected my kids, my own kids, and he said, "Do not go to the house." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Meet me at the Harley Davidson place." And I met him at the Harley Davidson parking lot.
Okay. And did he tell you what had happened or what he feared had happened?
He said they didn't. He said the bodies were unidentifiable, and I said, "Well, if you will,
Not going into what he said, let me ask you this: did you give him information about your parents' cars, the kind of cars they had?
Yes, I gave him everything. For the most part, I think I gave him everything he asked about. He was asking about. He didn't know who was there, whose body was there, which didn't make sense at the time, but."
That's actually a pretty good save by the state to get her away from hearsay and kind of get her back on point and maybe less traumatic testimony. So that was a pretty good lawyering move.
Did you tell him who had been present with you on Thanksgiving?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give him information about the defendant, about your brother being present on Thanksgiving? Okay. And at some point, were you able to give him descriptive information about your brother?
Yes.
Like, what do you look like?
All of them, yes.
Okay. Now, I know that must have been a difficult time for you. Is your memory sequential? I mean, do you remember everything, or are things just sort of jumbled for you?
It's a jumble. It's like most people's memories are linear. Mine's like a ball, and then there's different.
Okay.
So it's not. There's not.
Holy cheese balls. This woman is me. I tell Mr. Mo all the time that some people have linear thoughts and I have nebulas of thoughts. Did we just become best friends, lady? Because hard agree.
Not going to be sequential.
Is it fair to say that you were shaken by this interaction with Detective McCord?
I was, because I couldn't understand. Like I said, if you all will just let me, you can cover their face, and there's 1980s all written all over them. Like their hair was 1980s, and they're like,
calling out that the fashion train stopped at 1989, and both mom and dad got off and will not join the rest of the party.
We're always in bathing suits.
Okay. So when did you next go back to the house on Golden View?
That's the part I don't know. It was after, it wasn't any time. I don't know. I can't. I don't know the date. It would have been after we were allowed back in there, but it would have been, I don't know. I can't tell you a date. Like that's what the jumbled part is. There's a couple of weeks there where it was just so.
So the last time you saw your parents was on Thanksgiving, and the last time you saw your brother, Joel Michael Jr., was on Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you point to him for the jury?
See, she is so good because I'd have said that dick over there. This is why I'm not a good witness.
You involved in your father's estate in any way after their deaths were confirmed?
I was the executor of this. I mean, the executor of Dad's estate, not the executor of Lisa's.
And as part of your duties as the executor, were you made aware of financial transactions on your father's accounts that took place after November the 26th, 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the executor, did the estate receive?
This Galaxy dill hole, after he, started melting his parents and sautéing them or whatever this weirdo decided to do, he took the credit cards and paid up a year rent and the tuition on his parents' credit cards. The dill holery is just immense, to the point where, Joel, my guy, you, sir, have won the outrageously designed child's toy of the day. You're a dick.
Receive any sort of credits on the accounts as a result of charges that were made after November the 26th, 2016?
because if it was before that date, it's not considered theft, so there's no disputing it. But since it was after the date of their death, I provided a death certificate, and there was such large amounts for utility, a large amount for a school. The only thing that we didn't get back, and it was just because he paid, or someone paid on the credit card the $10,000. It was a $10,000 amount to his apartment complex, but the apartment complex refused to even.
Okay. What school were you dealing with?
LSU.
LSU?
Yes. Okay. To my memory.
That's necessary. Did your parents typically keep their dog in the laundry room locked up?
That dog was so pampered that they would jokingly threaten him to send him to my house. Just straight up, like he had to have the water fed to him a certain way and certain ice chips, and they would never lock him in a room ever. But that's just not how Lisa did things.
And they're good doggo parents. Joel, you're voted off humanity's island. Have fun on Mars.
Thank you. That's the witness.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of questions. So in some, you're saying Joel Michael, the person on trial today, was more outgoing and friendly at Thanksgiving than you'd seen him before?
It's not more. He was outgoing and friendly. He usually is never outgoing and friendly.
Okay.
He doesn't speak at all.
Yeah, it's almost like he was pretending to be friendly, but didn't realize that acting like a human is very suspicious when you've acted like, well, let's be very honest, and self-obsessed asshole for your entire life to the point where you don't even join family functions. You're such a self-centered bunghole.
And your parents had to be out of the house by December 13th,
I am not sure on the certain date.
but sometime in that neighborhood they were moving.
Yes, sir.
So it may not have been unusual then the Friday afterwards for your dad to start collecting the guns in one place to move them.
I don't know what would be usual or unusual.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
You're right. Thanks, Tyler. You make that down.
All right, guys. This is another long video. So what I think I am going to do, I am in the year of doing all the things that sort of make me nervous. What I am probably going to do tomorrow is try to do a live stream. So I will try to get that up on all of the Twitters and Facebookers and all of the social media things. Get a time. I'm an early morning person, so maybe start at 9. Let's see here. Our co-host is not bothered, but he or the other cast of characters will be firmly in their little cat hole chair too. So that should be good. But I hope you guys are enjoying this. I am kind of enjoying this whole format. I will get better at hopefully finding how to do clips and all the different magical fun things that I'm sure are second nature to anybody but me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I made your day a little bit less well, it's kind of rainy and sucktacular here, so hopefully this helped a little bit, and I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully on a live stream on our duct tape production values. Here we go. Have a great day, guys. Bye.